Have you ever been angry? Have you ever seen a grown man's penis? We're about to talk about one out of two of those things. Anger. It's such a weird thing. Sometimes the simplest shit can just set it off. Human emotions are cringe. Let's just face the facts. I just read something that immediately it grinded my gears, I'll say. It made me very upset. And it really shouldn't have. It was something super small and I know better, but I just couldn't help it. Still have that little Neanderthal brain where sometimes something just sets me off and I can't help but just go, hey, I'm not happy, not feel good, and I start bonking a stick on my table. And it was just over a single word in a news article I was reading. So let me paint you a picture here. I'm not going to pull up the video, but I watched a video of a random assault that took place in New York, which is basically the home of random assaults. And what happened was a guy was on an escalator and then just decided to turn around and kick a woman in the chest, sending her tumbling down the escalator. Full-blown, This Is Sparta style, just blasted her down the escalator for no reason. And in typical New Yorker fashion, there was another person on the escalator who completely ignored her. In fact, the lady got kicked into her. It was like she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where she got yanked back on a rope because the kick was so powerful. It sent her down like 4 steps into another lady who had to dodge her, like physically dodge her, as if she was in fucking gym class playing dodgeball with her peers. Dodge her, and then she keeps tumbling down the escalator behind her. She turns around and then just goes about her business, casually rides up the escalator as if nothing's wrong and this is just a normal occurrence. It was the most New York shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I was surprised the lady didn't reach into her purse and pull out a pizza and take a bite, and then also put on a Yankees hat, and then, kick a rat on her way up the escalator. I'm getting sidetracked. But anyway, it was an assault on an escalator with no fucking context, and the article written about it called it an alleged assault. And that shit sent me into a frenzy. I was ready to fucking kick my desk down an escalator. Like, what do you mean alleged? I just watched this guy do it. And I understand the definition of alleged. I get it. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm pretty stupid, but I can also use Google. Like, I understand the definition. I understand why it's used in these things. But my God, it doesn't make it any less frustrating when you actually see all of the pieces of the puzzle. You see the assault. You can physically see the guy crank his foot forward and blast her and then go about his business. It's all captured on video. I can't say it's in 4K because all of New York security camera looks like it's negative 160p. It's like I'm watching an old fucking sex tape from the 1960s. But you can still make out the majority of what's happening. So when you see alleged tossed in there, it like makes it almost sound like there's room for argument, like, well, actually, she may have deserved it. Or it's not conclusive whether or not this was truly an assault or not. Like, there's wiggle room here. Even though you know the assault takes place, you watch the assault. Again, I understand why they use alleged and say, like, allegedly this happened. But my God, it doesn't make it any less goofy when you actually watch it. You could just say, like, this assault took place, but the guy hasn't been tried for it yet or something. I don't really know. It's just a huge pet peeve of mine, and I know it's not that big of a deal. It's a super small thing, but when I'm reading something like this and then that comes up, it's like, oh, you think I'm stupid, don't you? Like, I feel personally insulted. It's like, oh, okay, fucking ace journalist Jim Buttkiss over here thinks Charles is an idiot, huh? He thinks I'm so fucking dumb I still believe in Santa Claus, doesn't he? Okay, alright, big guy. Like, it's an irrational thing and just a big pet peeve. So after my little tantrum and calming down, drinking some warm breast milk to just settle down a bit, I started thinking, what other pet peeves do I have? Because I don't often in the moment think of them as just like a pet peeve. And I just started brainstorming a little bit, having some brain blasts. Also, before going into the other pet peeves, there was a follow-up to this story that I read. Apparently they had a single interaction on the escalator where apparently the guy pushed by her and she just said, "Excuse you," or something. And that's what triggered this response. So it wasn't completely random. There was a single sentence, not even a full sentence, spoken to him that set him off to do this. So anyway, still a giant asshole, and hopefully the assault charges stick. I don't see why they wouldn't, but they are still alleged from what I've read. So the next little small thing that always makes me a little grumpy is something that happens on stream pretty frequently when it comes to a new game. It's not so much backseat gaming, which I expect. It's Twitch, of course. But it's backseat gamers that haven't played the game or give the worst advice with such confidence. So, for example, I'll be playing a new game, and there's 0% chance the person in chat has played the game, but they still caps lock their suggestion when I happen to not fucking speed run the game or play as optimally and efficiently as possible. So something like Dying Light 2, I actually got to play that a little bit early, not like a review copy or anything, they just sent me it a bit early. I don't even know if it was by mistake, but I got the game like 2 days early. And there were still some people in the chat that were telling me how to play the game or where I was supposed to go and fucking spamming it with caps lock. Like, you don't even have the game and you are still like ordering me around as if you're like the authority on Dying Light 2 expertise. What, do you work for like Prima Games and you wrote the strategy guide? You one of the QA testers or something? Like, there's 0% chance you know what you're talking about. And then in like Elden Ring, I played Elden Ring the millisecond that shit dropped. And there were still people telling me exactly how it's supposed to be played with advice that doesn't even exist in the game. It's like, Charlie, you actually have to mash these 3 buttons in order to activate the triple jump. Kind of like in Super Mario 64 with the, the Wahoo. It actually translates to Elden Ring. And they'll spam it like 10 times. And then eventually I'll cave and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try your advice. And it never works. And when it doesn't work, they don't say shit. They don't say like, I'm sorry, or yep, I was wrong. They just don't say anything. And then they'll say something again like 10 minutes later with more advice that's also wrong. It's just shameless. It's fucking shameless. And it's such a minor inconvenience. And that kind of naturally leads into the next pet peeve, which also comes from streaming. And it's the people that will come to the stream just to say they don't like the game I'm playing or whatever activity I'm doing. It's like, you stupid son of a bitch. You can see in the title or like right under the title what I'm playing or what I'm doing, and you'll still come and whine about it and then demand that I switch games or do something else. Why? Just go somewhere else. I'm not your fucking dad coming in there with the belt forcing you to watch the stream if it's not something you want to see. Go watch what you want to watch, man. I'm not fucking holding you hostage. Why? It blows my fucking mind because they will sit there for hours, and I'm not exaggerating, hours, complaining about the game or whatever I'm streaming if it's something they didn't want to see. Why? Why are you wasting hours doing that? Like, I know you're not a bot. There's a pulse on the other end of that keyboard, a sentient human being that is manually typing this shit for hours, saying that I have to switch games because of you, because you personally don't like it. Fuck. It's so silly. And both of these kind of feed into another pet peeve of mine that's a little broader. I hate people that just can't admit they were wrong about something. I hate it. I hate mental gymnastics in order to justify some shit. I always admit when I fuck things up. I think it's a really valuable skill to have. To just have self-awareness and be like, yeah, oop, that was a big ol' oopsie. That was a big ol' stinkeroony there. Missed the mark. I was wrong. There are so many people, especially on the internet, that are so consumed by ego that they just cannot let themselves say they were wrong about something. They just can't handle it. They'd fucking melt down and explode if they'd try. Their mouth would just catch fire as if it's poison leaving it. It just blows my mind how desperately people will fight to avoid just saying they were wrong about something. It's not just internet specific, though it happens a lot on the internet because, and I think everyone knows why, internet creators all have followings that just tell them, yeah, you're the fucking best. That doesn't miss nothing but W's over here, dubscaroonies. So they've convinced themselves that they're always right. So when they're wrong, they just can't really admit that to themselves or to their audience. Maybe they don't want to seem weak. I'm not a fucking therapist or whatever. But of course it happens a lot on the internet. But even just in general, there are so many people and friends of mine that I know that cannot just say they were wrong about something, even something simple. Like, oh, IHOP closes at this time. When in reality, you idiot, IHOP doesn't close. Damn, I said that with confidence and I could be wrong. Hold on, let me double check. I'm pretty sure IHOP's 24 hours. I may have just made an oopsie and may need to apologize. Hold on. Okay, IHOP's not 24 hours. You know what? Time to demonstrate the skill. I was wrong. Bad example. IHOP does close. But you know what I'm saying? Actually, I'm not wrong. There are some 24-hour IHOPs. Point is, someone will be wrong about something, even something trivial, and if you decide to go out of your way to prove it, they will still do everything they can to justify that they weren't actually wrong. It was a misunderstanding. Like, oh, So this is actually where my head was at. I was thinking back, like a couple of years ago, which is when I was right, and you're also right. So we're both kind of right. No one's wrong here. It's like, no, you were wrong. Say you were wrong. And that brings me to the last pet peeve that I could think of and identify, and it's people that dodge questions, even just point blank questions. You'll ask someone something, and they'll just tiptoe around it forever. Literally forever. I saw a video of, I think it was like a Canadian council meeting where there was a guy that just kept saying, "How much does a house cost in Ottawa?" And the guy that he was asking it to would stand up and say, "We've created a lot of jobs." And this went back and forth for 3 minutes. Him just saying, "How much does a house cost?" And the guy just saying, "We created a lot of jobs. The economy is recovering. We're doing great." I hate question dodgers. I hate it. Just address it. You can beat around the bush fucking fine, do a whole song and dance, but at least answer the question at some point in your long-winded statement. That shit makes me tight. I hate people that just can't answer a question. It doesn't compute with me. I understand being indecisive, like, what do you want to eat? I'm super indecisive, so I'll be like, oh, I'm actually not really sure. But that is still me answering that question. I just don't have a good answer for it. I'm acknowledging what you said, and I'm trying to like get a good answer for it, but my tummy's confusing me. I don't know what it wants from me. So I don't have like I can't just say what I want to eat, but I do try and address the question, and I think about it and try and give an answer eventually. But it's the people that'll just dodge it and like completely veer off course or change the topic entirely that just make me upset. And I guess to a certain lesser extent, the people that'll take everything and then make it about themselves. So if you're having a conversation with someone or a group of people, and there's that one douchebag who's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." My experience was actually a lot better. "Oh, you had 3-day-old shrimp from the gas station across the street? I actually had week-old shrimp from that same gas station, and I'm still cooking. So what's up? I'm better." Of course, the one-up shit, no one likes that. I think that's just a pretty common pet peeve, if you can even call it that. It's just human nature to hate that kind of person, because that shit is trash. But again, these were really all the pet peeves I could think of, and it all stemmed from just reading one article about that assault in New York. Anyway, just wanted to talk about it a bit, and yeah, see ya.